Toronto Raptors are 7 games into this new season, and some things look great and some things look borderline terrible. So for today's video, I wanted to do a good, bad, and ugly and go over a few of the things that are working and some of the things that need some adjustments. Starting off with the good, a lot of this will focus around the Raptors offense, which for the most part has been functioning pretty well. The team is 12th in offensive rating at 115.8 points per 100 possessions, 7th in team field goal percentage, number 8 in pace, and have the number 1 assist ratio in the league, which is what you come to expect with Darko's pass-heavy offense. Offensively, things are clicking for the most part, and I wanted to highlight the 5 players that are leading the charge in this area. Starting out with Scottie Barnes, who's averaging 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting a career-high 3-point percentage at 47%, and a career-high true shooting at 59.2%. He's eclipsed 30 points twice in 7 games, and overall his offensive process has been significantly improved on what we saw in preseason. He's finishing much better at the rim, taking less pull-up threes, and settling for less mid-range jumpers. And defensively, he's been the versatile playmaking defender, averaging 2.7 stocks per game. This has always been an area of strength for Barnes, and it's good to see that he's continuing that this season. Moving on to co-star Brandon Ingram, he's putting up 22 points a game, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists, on 64% true shooting and 39% from 3. He's been efficient, he's making tough shots, he's had some clutch moments. It's honestly been such a treat to watch a bucket getter like Ingram this season. Next up is RJ Barrett, averaging 20, 4.5 in 3, shooting 37% from 3 and over 70% at the rim. His career high efficiency on career low usage has been very impressive because a lot of people expected he wouldn't be able to scale down into this new role. On the contrary, he has been fantastic and fit very nicely next to Ingram and Barnes. A big area of improvement for Barrett has been his free throw shooting 78%, something that has been an area of weakness for him since his time in Toronto. We'll see if his 65% true shooting holds, but for now he's been fantastic on the offensive side of the ball. Continuing with Raptors rookie Colin Murray-Boyles, who has gotten an increased opportunity ever since Jakob Poeltl has been held out of the lineup with back soreness. And he is certainly running with that opportunity, averaging 10.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 1.5 assists, while being phenomenal on the defensive end, even when matched up against superstars. Something that nobody was expecting is his 46% from 3 on 2.5 attempts. Colin was labeled as a non-shooter entering the draft because he only shot around 26% in his last season of college. But as I outlined in a previous video, he's been working very hard all summer at improving his shot mechanics, and so far it's really been translating. Of course, nobody expects 46% from 3 to continue for the rest of the season, but so far, he has not looked like the non-shooter that he was labeled as. Similar to the way that Ryan Dunn started last year. The last player I want to highlight is new signing Sandro Mamukelashvili and the spark that he brings coming off of the bench. He's averaged 7.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 2 assists coming off the bench, and is another Raptor shooting insane from 3 at 45%. When you look at the team's 2-man lineup data, there's one common theme. Every starter plays better next to Sandro Mamukelashvili. He has provided an amazing spark off the bench, which is exactly what this Raptors lineup needs when a lot of the other bench players are not performing up to what you would expected. So with all that good stuff out of the way, let's get into the bad. Immanuel Quickley has not had a good start to the season. He's shooting a career worst 28% from 3 on 51% true shooting, and for some reason he just can't dial in his 3-point shot, which has led to him putting the ball on the floor more than usual, and when he drives, he gets himself into trouble and has to pick up his dribble. All this amounts to really bogging down the Raptors' pass-heavy offense. Simply put, he's been the Raptors' worst offensive player. His shot's not falling, his passes are late, his decision-making is off, and it's really throwing a wrench in the Raptors' offensive process. Now, even though he's had a rough start, there's nothing to suggest that Immanuel all of a sudden can't shoot, so I do expect his 3-point shot to come back throughout the season. But right now, his offensive process has been terrible, and he's slowly losing minutes to his backup Jamal Shead. We've yet to see Coach Darko bench any starter for poor performance, but it's looking more likely if this trend continues for Immanuel Quickley. Moving on, I gotta talk about Raptors starting center Jakob Poeltl, who has missed the last few games with a sore back. Even when he's played, he hasn't been good and he does not move well. It's obvious that this back injury is really bothering him, and it is definitely best to hold him out of lineup for now. This is pretty concerning because over the last couple years, Yak has been one of the most impactful players for the Raptors, and the easiest way to tank was to hold him out. And now with the goal of making the playoffs, having to hold Yak out for injury problems and overall poor play doesn't bode well for the success of the team. Fortunately though, it doesn't seem to be a serious injury, and hopefully with some rest, Poeltl can return to the impactful player that he's been the last couple of years. The last bad I want to talk about is a couple of the Raptors bench wings, namely Ochai Agbaji and Jacoby Walter, who have both had a pretty rough start start to this season. Ochai, who is one of the Raptors' best role players from last season, is only averaging 3.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 1 assist, shooting 9% from 3. For a player whose role is to be a 3-and-D catch-and-shoot shooter, 9% is absolutely unacceptable. The good thing is, 9% is definitely an outlier considering he shot almost 40% last season. I don't know what's causing Ochai to shoot this poorly, but hopefully he figures it out soon because he is a name that gets circulated a lot on the trade block. Moving on to Jacoby Walter, who has been very disappointing in his sophomore season. He's been in and out of the lineup, he doesn't seem to have the trust of the coach, and he is also shooting poorly from 3 at just 22%. He's putting up 2 points a game, 1.5 rebounds, and 1 assist, and shooting an atrocious 37% true shooting. This is far below his standard, and I think being in and out of the lineup is having some effect on that, but he just hasn't been very good. He's still very young and has a lot to figure out. He is far from one of the biggest issues on the team, but you definitely need a lot more from guys like him if your bench is going to succeed. Finally, let's get into the ugly. And if you've been watching the Raptors, you know exactly where I'm going with this. Team defense. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about the 4-man lineups. Through 7 games, the Raptors have the 7th worst defensive rating in the league at 117.1 points per 100 possessions, and they're only ahead of the Hornets, Jazz, Kings, Wizards, Pelicans, and Nets. It's honestly a miracle that they've won any games with this standard of defense. Furthermore, they have the 4th worst rebound percentage in the league, which makes sense when you consider with Pirtle out, the Raptors don't have anyone over 6'10". The Raptors are trying to play a very hyper-aggressive, disruptive style, but what it's translating to is leaving good shooters open off of bad doubles, leaving the paint wide open, and letting opponents shoot 50% from the field, which is the 3rd highest opponent field goal percentage in the league. Data suggests that the league as a whole is moving towards a more aggressive defensive style, but the Raptors' interpretation of this is playing too close to their man and making it very easy for opponents to beat them off of 1 pass. Not even 2 passes. There's a lot that can be said about the Raptors' defensive struggles, but it did look a little bit better in their last game against the Grizzlies, so perhaps there's a learning curve that some of the players are trying to catch up to with this aggressive style. But there is concern that the Raptors don't have the personnel to pull off this aggressive style. Lastly, I want to touch on the Raptors' lineup data, which suggests some worrying trends. When we look at the Raptors' 4-man lineup data, we see that the top 5 most used lineups all have a double-digit negative net rating, meaning a lot of times their most used players are losing their minutes, which is obviously not a recipe for success, but these advanced stats are pretty loud with small sample sizes. The most concerning lineup by far is the Raptors' 4 highest paid players of Barnes, Ingram, Barrett, and Quickly coming together to produce a negative 13.9 net rating. Again, it's a small sample size, so I don't think we can make any wide conclusions from this yet, but it is a trend to monitor. That's all I have for today. Let me know what you think the good, the bad, and the ugly has been of the Raptors season so far. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on all platforms at Raptors Shack. Feel free to reach out. I love talking ball with anybody. See you in the next one. Thank you.